Transmite en su canal de frecuencia modulada estereofónica multiplex La Voz Radio, desde New Haven, Connecticut, al mundo.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. What a pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Caprice Taylor Mendez. We are here with Together We Can, where we celebrate co-creators of a kinder and more just world. And as always, this show is bilingual. So when you hear Spanish, do not turn that dial. We're merely repeating or having a conversation simultaneously in Spanish. Mil gracias por estar aquí. Mi nombre es Caprice Taylor Méndez, aquí con Juntos Podemos, donde celebramos co-creadores de un mundo más justo y más gentil. Y aquí tenemos con nosotros una persona que está trabajando, apoyando al estado de Connecticut y varios estados, inclusive en su estado natal de Nueva Jersey. Aquí con nosotros la señora Tona Buck. And today we have a co-creator of a kinder and more just world, Miss Tona Buck, who is supporting the state of Connecticut, mobilizing on a very important effort in uplifting awareness and something that is affecting our community for far too long. And to speak about it publicly is also part of the healing. But we'll hear more of Ms. Tona Buck, who is supporting the state of Connecticut, the state of New Jersey, and many other states, a national organizer mobilizing in this important effort. And before that, before we hear from Ms. Tona Buck, I wanted to share with everyone something beautiful that I read. And, you know, Facebook, social media could be a wonderful avenue to bring us together or rather destructive. And in this case, there's a beautiful posting that was rather uplifting. And so I wanted to share that with you today. And the funny thing is, when you need it the most, it's not coming up, but that's okay. And so what I wanted to share is that there were professionals that interviewed 4 to 8 year olds and asked them, what does love mean to you? And it was so beautiful. The children were giving their honest, straightforward opinion. And one in particular said, you know, this was a young girl named Rebecca, 8 years old, who stated, love to me is when you paint your partner's toenails, even when, because they can't bend down, their back hurts and their hand hurts and they can't paint their toenails anymore, and you paint them even when you have arthritis. That's love for me. Another child, a 4-year-old, this was my favorite. Love is when I heard that my neighbor's wife died. I went to the backyard and I sat on my neighbor's lap and I let them cry. And I was there to support them in their crying. And I didn't say a word. That's love to me. And another child said, I think it was a 7-year-old, stated, love to me is when over the holiday time and you get presents and you're opening them and then you actually stop and listen and then you could hear the love in the room. That's love to me. This was just so beautiful, and there are about a total of, I think, like 10 testimonies of children and their perspective of what love is. And so I wanted to bring that into our show today, and I'm just going to translate really quickly. De que quería empezar hoy con una introducción del tema, pero primero nombrando un artículo que leí por la media social. Y sabiendo de que es un tópico difícil que vamos a hablar hoy, pero el tema de amor. Tuvimos recién San Valentín, el día de amor, de amistad, de apreciar a la familia y leí un artículo que los niños de 4 años a 8 años de edad estaban hablando de la definición de amor y habían como tres entrevistas con niños y nomás voy a compartir de los 10, tres de ellos. Y uno de esos decía, amor para mí es cuando un anciano sabe de que su pareja ya no puede doblarse, ya no puede manejar bien la pintura de uñas para pintarse los pies y empieza a pintar las uñas de sus a ser querido de los pies, aunque uno mismo tiene dolor por artritis. Una jovencita de 8 años, Rebeca, dijo, esa es la definición de amor. Y había un jovencito de 4 años, dijo, amor para mí es cuando supe que mi vecino, su esposa, falleció. Y yo me fui al patio del vecino donde él estaba ahí sentado y me senté sobre sus piernas y lo abracé y lo dejé llorar conmigo sin decir ninguna palabra. Para mí eso es amor. Y había otro jovencito que dijo, para mí amor es cuando uno está en fiestas con la familia, está abriendo los regalos que les acaban de regalar a uno y abriendo los regalos y de repente paro de hacer eso para escuchar el silencio en el cuarto y lo que escucho y lo que siento es puro amor. Y verdad que los jóvenes saben cuáles son las cosas importantes en la vida y perciben en una manera tan madura que los adultos, por lo que pasa en la vida, muchas veces se pierde esa sabiduría. Y hay que apoyar esa inocencia, no solamente de los niños, pero también de los adultos, a reconectarse con nuestra inocencia. And so the challenge is, as those quotes that I just shared, we can really see the perspective and maturity and wisdom in the child's experience in life and understanding what love is. And it's the adults that we often lose that profound wisdom of the experience of love because of life experiences and things can happen. And so the challenge for us as adults is to support the innocence of a child so the children can carry that intact, as well as support our own inner child to cultivate that remembrance of that innocence of love. And so today's topic, thank you so much, Miss Tona Buck, for being with us, because I do want to give everyone an opportunity to understand that today's topic is a tough one, so that if you need to turn the dial, watch this at a later point in time safely at home, you may do so at La Voz Hispana CT on Facebook, La Voz Hispana de Connecticut. So you can watch this video on your own. Or where you have a supportive environment. So just wanted to flag what we'll talk about later on today, que quería dar el anuncio al público que está escuchando que tal vez quieren hacer una pausa porque el tópico de hoy va a ser sobre el abuso sexual, y para que ustedes puedan verlo en un tiempo más calmado, en un lugar seguro, rodeado de amor. Y porque es un tópico bien importante, pero yo sé que también es un poco difícil para nuestra comunidad. And so understanding that this topic today is a tough topic to talk about for our communities. It's been culturally that way, but to say it out loud, sexual abuse, to talk about sexual abuse, to end the cycle of sexual abuse. It is important to air it out on the radio, on Facebook, in conversations with family, even to end the cycle. And so, with us, we have Tona Buck, author, special guest, national organizer for a virtual walk that is going to happen in April. And later we will share more information about this event. So we're giving everyone the heads up to join in this virtual walk in creating awareness around sexual abuse. And so, Miss Tanya Books, what a pleasure to have you. Bienvenida, Tanya Books.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today. I really am.
And so you are an author, a published author. You started a nonprofit, and you're also an activist creating awareness around sexual abuse. And you shared with me as well that you are a survivor and no longer a victim. And I would even call you a warrior. So you actually created Rosa
Warrior.
Warriors,
Yep.
a nonprofit. Can you tell us more about this journey and where we are coming here in support of others in the community that can resonate with this journey and maybe never spoke about it to
Oh,
anyone?
yes. So this is how I introduce myself. Hello, my name is Tona Buck, and I'm a sexual abuse survivor. I started being sexually abused when I was 3 years old by someone that I loved and I trusted. Excuse me. And that's important to say because 96% of children who are sexually victimized are victimized by people we love and trust. There are not strangers. These are people who are crafty, they're predators, and they groomed us very, very well.
And sexual abuse is not love. It's the total opposite of supporting the innocence of a child and adults and children who become adults. Just putting it very clear.
Oh yeah, no, no. I appreciate and I loved how you started it off because individuals like me would never understand that child's mindset because love was distorted from us at a very young age. And again, it wasn't from from a stranger. It was someone who should have been loving us, from someone who should have been protecting us, someone who should have been nurturing us. But instead, they took our innocence and they took the possibility of being able to trust people, and they took many people's lives and their dreams and their hopes. And it doesn't matter if they touched that child one time or in my case hundreds of times. I was sexually abused for over years by this individual, and he was definitely a predator, and he was good at what he did. And so, at this point in my life, I can say, I'm a sexual abuse survivor, but I have been telling my story for over 20 years as a survivor. And I was saying this earlier. I believe that there are different levels of sexual abuse. And this is only from my point of view. You have victims. And these are individuals who were victimized. And I need for people to understand, I think when people think of sexual abuse, they think it's only about sexual contact physically. If someone is showing that child porn, that's sexual abuse. If someone is saying something inappropriate sexually to a child that's under 18, that's sexual abuse. I think people just think it's just the physical part, but sexual abuse is a variety of different ways that you affect that child. Mental capacity by what you do or what you say to them or how you treat them or react or act towards that child. That's sexual abuse. And so we need to get that understood. Number one, it's just not them touching, it's what they're saying and what they're doing in front of that child that is sexual abuse.
Thank you for that. And so I'll translate in Spanish your introduction. La señora Tonya Buck dice, yo siempre hago mi propia introducción diciendo de que yo fui una víctima de abuso sexual, dice la señora Tona Buck. Ella también es una autora y dirige una organización sin fines de lucro para romper el ciclo de abuso sexual. Ella dice, ella fue victimizada empezando desde los 3 añitos de edad y fue una víctima de más de 100 veces. Y para ser abusado sexualmente no es necesario tener una frecuencia de abuso, pero no más una vez es suficiente para romper la capacidad de inocencia en tener confianza en adultos, en sentirse uno seguro alrededor de adultos. No más una vez es suficiente para romper el sentido de seguridad de un niño o niña. Y el abuso sexual no es amor, aunque puede causar mucha confusión para un joven o jovencita porque la mayoría de niños están abusados sexualmente por un adulto en sus vidas que supuestamente están presentes para darles el sentido de seguridad, para protegerlos, para mantenerlos bien, el bienestar del niño. 96% de los niños abusados sexualmente es por un adulto, un predador que en lugar de cuidarlos, lo están abusando a un nivel sexual y los predadores son buenos en utilizar manipulación, maneras psicológicas para controlar al joven y hacer la situación confusa para el joven porque hay maneras en tratar de también a que los jóvenes no tengan confianza también con los otros adultos en sus vidas. El abuso sexual no solamente es tocar a un niño en una manera inapropiada, pero también puede ocurrir si los adultos le dan mal ejemplo al joven, por ejemplo, exponerlos a una temprana edad, antes de los 18 años, a pornografía o también hablándoles sobre temas inapropiados, que abusos sexuales cuando un adulto toma acciones que cambia la mentalidad del joven en situaciones sexuales de una temprana edad. Y 18 años es todavía joven. Antes de los 18 años es considerado abuso de un joven en situaciones sexuales. Y por eso es tan importante educarnos, que no solamente es en tocar a un joven, hay que proteger también las conversaciones, lo que los jóvenes ven, lo que los adultos le dicen a los jóvenes, que las palabras también pueden causar profundo trauma en los jóvenes. Y es un tema bien importante reconocer que hay un nivel de inocencia en nuestros jóvenes que hay que tener mucha precaución en las familias, en los hogares, si hay un predador, que hay que conversar con los niños para asegurar que ellos estén bien. Miss Tona Buck fue abusada por el esposo de su madre, su padrastro. Es decir, vivían en el mismo hogar. Ahora estamos en el tiempo del virus, la pandemia COVID, y muchos jóvenes están pasando más horas en sus hogares, más que nunca, porque antes de la pandemia había jóvenes en las escuelas. Hoy en día están pasando más tiempo en casa. Cada 9 minutos un joven es abusado en este país antes de la pandemia. Ahora es una pandemia el nivel de abuso de joven en los hogares. Es bien importante estar en alerta para prevenir y para apoyar al bienestar de la inocencia de nuestros niños. And so, Miss Buck, before we began, you highlighted a very sad statistic that in this country, every 9 minutes a child is abused, and this was
Very.
before COVID pandemic when social distancing was not in the forefront. Children were spending much of their time in school,
Yes.
their waking hours, and now with COVID, to save lives, some children, their innocence is also being put at risk.
Yes. But I'm an educator, and one of the things that we get to, well, I get to, that's a whole nother story that I'm putting together. I'm putting together a webinar to educate educators how to identify and what to look for in children who are being sexually abused, because I think people, a lot of people just don't know what to look for. I had so many different symptoms, like they were all like, as an adult looking back, no one asked, what was going on, why was I still, I one of the signs was that, and I'll come back to the statistics, and the reason why. So one of the things that was very prevalent in me, I was urinating on myself again. Like, I was obviously potty trained, and when he started victimizing me at 3, by the time I was 4, I was, I started using the bathroom back on myself. And then as I got older, I was very withdrawn. And then as time went on, I became very angry, and I was like a very angry teenager. And so there were so many signs there, but because people who were around me, adults, not only educators, but the adults that were around me, nobody was talking about it. They dismissed the signs. So that's very important to me, not only as a survivor, but as an advocate, is to educate others on how to even look for the quiet, like the real quiet child. My symptoms was very out there. I was fighting all the time. Like I said, I was very violent. Whereas the other child may be really withdrawn and not saying anything at all. So there are a lot of ways that we can see, but the issue is now that we can't even see them in school, like you said, because they're home with the predators. One of the things that kept me safe was school. School was my safe haven. At least I knew Monday through Friday I was in school, but on Friday and Saturday, I knew I was going to be sexually victimized because this guy was an alcoholic and he would be drinking, and I was definitely the child that he would victim, sexually abused. So school was my safe haven, and this school has been safe haven for thousands and thousands of little kids who are being victimized, and they are literally sitting home with these sick predators who have 100% accessibility. Not only 100% accessibility to these innocent children, but these kids don't have a voice and don't have anybody to tell. The worst thing is to be to be sexually victimized and don't have anyone else to tell. I remember when I was an adult and I told my mother that I was sexually victimized by her boyfriend at the time. She said to me, "I wish you would have told me." And my response to her was, "I didn't know what to tell. Why would I have known what to tell at 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7? Nobody talked to me about sex. Nobody told me what he was doing. I knew deep down inside what he was doing was making me feel disgusting, but I didn't. There was no name to it. So you said that I was an author. I wrote a couple books. One of the books that I wrote is called Stop, Safe Touches Only, Please. And it's a children's book, and it teaches children about body parameters and good and bad touches. That's important. I've had thousands and thousands of parents ask me, how can I protect my child? And this is always my response. If a predator looked like a predator, if they talk like a predator, if they walk like a predator, if they act like a predator, you would have your child around them. Obviously. But because they're so crafty at what they do, our job as an adult is to educate the child at this point. And we cannot do it by not talking about it. We cannot do it by keeping this a secret. We cannot do it by not giving them the power. We empower these children by teaching them their body parts the same way we teach them about their eyes, their nose, their mouth. They need to know they have a vagina, an anus, and a penis. We make it uncomfortable. The children don't make it uncomfortable. The same way we teach them about those parts of the body and they have control over those parts, we need to do it with the sexual parts of their bodies too. So then if somebody touched them, a bright light, a red flag would come up to them and say, wait a minute, I've been taught that these are my body perimeters, and I have the right to say stop, and I have the right to tell if they don't stop. And I promise you, if those people, adults in your children's lives know that you have taught to your children about good and bad touches, your children are or less likely to be victimized.
Well said. And so in Spanish, la autora Tona dice de que muy importante reconocer de que los niños tienen que poder comunicarse con un adulto de confianza si ellos sienten algo que no está correcto en su relación con otro adulto en sus vidas. En este momento hay más niños vulnerables en la casa, pero ¿cómo es que ellos le van a decir a sus padres si no tienen las palabras? Ella dijo a los 3, 4 años de edad, ella podía sentir que algo no estaba correcto en la manera en que su padrastro se portaba con ella y ella se sentía mal, se sentía sucia, pero no tenía ninguna palabra y como adulta por fin le contó su madre lo que pasó más de 100 veces. Debajo del techo donde vivía con su madre, allí estaba el padrastro. Ella dice, muchas veces los padres, si escuchan una persona hablando como si fuera un predator, no acercarían a sus hijos a esa persona. Si actuaba como una persona mala, si se miraba las apariencias como una persona mala, pero la verdad es que las personas malas son buenos en esconder sus intenciones y con los niños actúan de una manera diferente. Entonces es importante educar al niño a poder comunicarse con sus padres, un ser querido, si ocurre una situación donde ellos no están confortables. Por eso es importante de una temprana edad empezar a identificar partes del cuerpo, igual como los ojos, la nariz, los oídos, el pene, el ano y la vagina, para que el hijo también o hija puede compartir, comunicarse con el padre si alguien le está tocando en una manera que no sea apropiado. Ella escribió, es autora de un libro en inglés que se llama Parar. En inglés, stop, S-T-O-P. S para salvación, T, tocar, O de solamente, only, y P de por favor. No más toques seguros para uno. No más toques que son sanos para uno de niño. Y apoyar al niño a que sepa qué es el toque sano y qué es un toque de abuso contra el cuerpo de uno. Y poder comunicar con su padre, madre, si hay situaciones donde no se sintieron confortables. Y es importante que el padre empiece ese tipo de conversación con sus jóvenes en sus vidas. Y hay síntomas que dice en su vida, ella actuó de una manera de que decía, auxilio. Pero muchos adultos en su vida no se fijaron, no sabían cuáles eran los síntomas, esos señales a decir, esta jovencita algo le está pasando. Ella dice a los 3, 4 años, su mamá le entrenó para poder usar el baño sin pañales, ya a los 3 años, pero retrocedió. Ya estaba sin pañal y empezó a usar el baño sobre su persona. Era como si no estaba entrenada. De ahí se puso bien reclusa, no le gustaba comunicarse con nadie. Y cuando llegó a la adolescencia, era una joven bien enojada. Y todo esto era gritando auxilio, pero ningún adulto supo tener esta importante conversación de proteger a su propio cuerpo, que era comportamientos, un adulto con el cuerpo de uno. Hay toques que son sanos y hay toques que son llenos de trauma. So thank you for this very beautiful, quick, and important guide for families to protect their children. They have to start the conversations early of what is safe touch and what is not safe touch, and giving the authority of the child to say, this doesn't feel safe to me. And so it is not in the authority of an adult over a child's body. Every human being has the authority over their own body. And some people like to be tickled. And there are some children who do not like to be tickled. And every child, it is their own right to say yes or no. And as adults, to respect that. That's something that even tickling isn't respected. Que hay niños que le gusta cosquillas, otros niños que no le gustan cosquillas, y es tiempo que el adulto respete que es aceptado por el niño. El niño tiene autoridad de su propio cuerpo y hay que apoyarlos a que tengan ese sentido de autoridad sobre su propio cuerpo. You were going to say something.
One other thing too that I need parents, that this is very important that they hear me when I say this. Teach your children that if a child their age or older says they don't want you to tickle them or touch them, you need to teach your child to stop too. A child should be safe when they're around their friends, their cousins, family members, adults, and children alike. I think that we overlook a lot of kids are also being victimized by 14 and 15-year-old cousins. And so they need to understand, and we need to teach our children to respect other children's bodies. You don't touch other children's body. If they say no or stop, your child needs to know to stop.
Oh, woof. Yes, and we don't do enough of that.
We don't. We think they've been kids. No.
And that means adults need to pay closer attention. Less time on the phone, less time on TV, actually interact more. Pay attention what is going on in the other room.
Yes.
And so we think that, oh, they're home, they're safe, I'll go about doing whatever I need to do. No, we should still be paying attention.
Yes.
Que muchas veces los adultos están en casa, los niños están en casa, uno piensa, ellos tienen la confianza que ellos están bien, están seguros, pero hay muchas veces de que puede ser que algo está sucediendo, y no solamente entre adulto y niño, pero también los niños que tienen más alta edad, 14, 15 años, también pueden abusar a un jovencito o jovencita. And the other part is, I can't remember the statistics, but there are more boys who are abused and will never, ever get help for it. We'll never talk about it. And our culture actually accepts the abuse of boys. Oh, that older woman, 40-year-old or whatever, hit on you as a 14-year-old, inappropriate behavior, oh, you're the man.
That's abuse.
And that is
That's abuse.
That is abuse.
That's abuse, male or female. If you are 18 and under, or whatever you say, the nose is 16. You should not be approached by an older woman or an older male. The same consequences that happen to a 13-year-old, if a 40-year-old man or 30-year-old man tries to have sex with her or have sex with her, it's the same thing that should be happening if it's a 13 or 14-year-old boy and you have a 30 or something-year-old woman. It's abuse. And they're not the men. Do you know how many men are messed up because they were, see, this is the thing. Whenever you are introduced to sex unhealthy, 9 times out of 10, you're going to continue an unhealthy sex life. That's what people don't understand. When sex is beautiful. When it is introduced, when it is taught in a loving and healthy manner. It is not. When it is not, you have to be mindful of that and watch your children and your boys. That is not a rites of passage for young men to be to have a pedophile rape them, because it's rape. Our young men either.
And so with this, we need to take a brief commercial break. This is so important, what we are uplifting today. It is so important where you are supporting and uplifting this at a national level. And so we'll find out more about how we can all wrap our collective community arms around our children and around our inner child to break this cycle of sexual abuse. So we'll be right back in 5 minutes. So do not turn that dial. Ya vamos a regresar, vamos a tener una breve pausa y vamos a compartir más con la autora Tona Buck y saber cómo podemos todos en comunidad, en familia, apoyar, abrazar a la inocencia de nuestros niños y la inocencia de nuestros niños interior. Gracias. Vamos a regresar en 5 minutos.
America was founded on the principle of representative government, but communities of color are marginalized in this process. If you're interested in running for office or serving on a local board or commission, the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities and the Campaign School at Yale are hosting Representation Matters, a free remote 2-day training session on February 13th and 27th, with informative workshops and panels of experts to give you the tools to make this a reality in 2021. Visit ccmcares.com for info on how to register.
Los viajeros ayudan a proteger las islas exteriores de las Seychelles. Se lo contamos en Tu Mundo Verde. Hay pocos lugares en el mundo tan hermosos y tan vulnerables como las islas exteriores de Seychelles. Si bien el archipiélago en el Océano Índico Occidental está formado por 115 islas, sus 72 islas exteriores son sin duda sus ubicaciones más remotas y conservadas. Situadas a distancias que oscilan entre 60 minutos y 2 horas y media de la isla principal de Mahé, las islas y atolones cuentan con una abundancia de vida marina, una costa virgen y aves exóticas. Entre ellos se encuentran Aldabra, declarada Patrimonio de la Humanidad por la UNESCO, hogar de la población de tortugas gigantes más grandes del mundo. Alphonse, la primera isla de Seychelles de depender de la energía solar, y el deshabitado Cos Moledo, conocido por sus arrecifes de coral espectacularmente prístinos. El ambientalista Keith Rose Innes insiste en que estas islas son tan inaccesibles para los humanos y tan lejanas que las han dejado solas. Es por eso que la organización Nature Conservancy y varios inversores compraron parte de la deuda del gobierno de Seychelles para colocarlo en el Seychelles Conservation and Climate Adaptation Trust, que ofrece tasas de interés bajas en los reembolsos. El dinero permitirá trabajar en proyectos destinados a proteger la vida marina y hacer frente al impacto del cambio climático. La organización también prometió convertir el 30% de sus aguas nacionales en áreas protegidas de su principal depredador, el cambio climático. Marisabel Houston, CNN, Atlanta.
WNHH 103.5. La voz hispana de Connecticut.
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Gracias por estar aquí de nuevo. Estamos hablando de un tema bien fuerte que es abuso sexual y cómo prevenirlo y cómo también levantar la voz y decir ya no más. Es importante saber, reconocer de que en esta temporada con el virus COVID ha aumentado lamentablemente los casos de abuso sexual y ha disminuido el acceso a ayuda para los niños, especialmente cuando están en casa más tiempo y más tiempo sin la supervisión de un adulto querido. Es decir, también de que hay casos en que 96% de los jóvenes abusados es por un adulto en sus vidas que en lugar de protegerlos, lo están abusando. Y es importante saber cómo empezar las conversaciones con nuestros jóvenes de temprana edad, inclusive 3 años, 4 años, 5 años de edad, para que ellos sepan en comunicar con un adulto no quiero que me toques de esa manera. Y también hablar con un ser querido cuando uno no se siente seguro, cuando uno no se siente confortable en una situación con otro adulto. Y la autora Tona escribió un libro para apoyar a los padres a tener ese tipo de conversación con los niños y también maestros, educadores, en cómo tener esa conversación con los niños. A los 5 años de edad es una edad donde muchos abusadores empiezan a abusar a los niños. Es bien importante no esperar en tener esa conversación con los jóvenes. Y Tonya Buck, estamos hablando de que no solamente es casos con niños, niñas, pero también los niños. En nuestra cultura hay muchas veces que se celebra cuando un adulto abusa de un niño. Es decir, tenés 14 años y esa mujer adulta o un hombre adulto a tener una experiencia sexual a los 14 años con un adulto, eso es abuso sexual. Hay una definición de abuso sexual también, especialmente cuando hay un equilibrio de poder que no existe. El adulto tiene mucho más poder contra un joven en una situación como relación sexual. Abuso sexual no es una relación también. Es bien importante saber eso. And so thank you for highlighting the fact that we also need to protect our boys.
Yes.
Y la cultura, especialmente cultura latina, muchas veces dice que un jovencito adolescente a tener una experiencia sexual es un hombre. A lo contrario, puede causar daño que el joven o jovencita puede tener una relación sexual como adulto, una relación positiva, sana como adulto, si tiene una relación sexual de abuso en una temprana edad, puede causar mucho daño. Entonces es bien importante poder hablar sobre este tema con nuestra familia, especialmente los jóvenes en nuestros corazones, porque el amor no es abuso sexual, es completamente lo opuesto. And so thank you for highlighting this very important topic. Can you tell us a little bit more about the march,
I
virtual
am
march?
so
Si
excited.
podemos poner en la pantalla la invitación
I'm
en la
so excited.
comunidad para la caminata virtual sobre el abuso sexual, prevención de abuso sexual. William, si puedes compartir una vez más. And so we'll put the flyer right on our screen. So for
Okay.
those who are listening, you can always see this on our Facebook page at La Voz Hispana de Connecticut. Ahí está la invitación en nuestra pantalla. Para los quienes están escuchando, pueden regresar a nuestra página de Facebook en La Voz Hispana de Connecticut y ahí pueden notar la información. Can you say a little bit more about this?
So, how did we get to this walk? 6 years ago, I'm gonna try to do a short version. 6 years ago, I was having to get together at my house. I went to walk another dog, and got hit by a car that left me on the street to die. Still don't know who hit me, damaged my brain, knocked my boot off my foot. And as I was home trying to recover, I decided to do a documentary called Why We Didn't Tell. And the documentary is 10 African Americans who's never really shared their stories publicly anyway. And it changed my life. It took me from being a survivor to an advocate, because as I heard their horrific stories, and you can find Why We Didn't Tell on YouTube, Tona Buck on YouTube. So as they were sharing their stories, I knew I needed to do more. And so that's how I ended up getting an organization, Moser Advising Over Sexual Abuse, and you can find us at moserwarriors.org. And then I decided to do a walk. So I organized Trenton's first HIV and AIDS walk, and I also organized Trenton's first cancer walk. So I was used to doing walks, and I wanted to do more. So I was like, let's do a Sexual Abuse Awareness Month walk. For those who don't know, April is Sexual Abuse Awareness Month. And so that's why we're doing it in April. So that I did the documentary over that summer. By April, we had our first walk, Trenton. We had over 400 people. Then the next year we did a New Jersey ride, so we expanded. And then last year we was going to do it in 3 different states, Connecticut being one of them. And COVID hit us, and so it stopped. This year I'm excited to say that we are doing the virtual worldwide sexual assault walk. As I was sitting home depressed after getting hit by the car, I wrote a book called That Second. And it's a true story about my life. Starting to be sexually abused at 3 years old in my journey. People are reading it in probably 24 hours. You can get it on Amazon.com. And so as I'm doing all of this walk is coming to fruition. And so now I'm excited because of the corona. The only good thing for me that came out of corona was that learning how to use virtual means. And so on April the 10th at 9:00, all over the world, we are going to Zoom in people walking. Now, how can you help me? I need help. The 1st of March, we're doing a PSA. And the PSA is pictures of yourself holding a piece of paper. It does not have to be fancy. It takes 1 minute to do. It could say hashtag Rosa Warriors, and what state or country you're representing. If you run a business, I want you to put your business. If you are like how you're hosting a show, put your name in the show, because as you support us in getting the word out about the walk, we also want to support you too. So we're asking people just like I am not artistic, so I did a banner, then I just had like a piece of paper that people can use, and send me the pictures. My number is 609-331-9931, or you can find me on Tona Buck Facebook, Tona Buck Instagram, or Tona Buck Twitter. So everything is Tona Buck, TONABUCK, and we need to join together all over the world. This is not an American. This is not a white or black. This is not a young or old. So we talk about thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world who've been affected from being sexually abused or being raped or being victimized. There is a time, and this is our time, that we just say enough. Enough. Those that warriors say enough, no more. We don't want any more children to be victimized. We don't want another woman or man who's been victimized to live in silence and not start the healing process because they're embarrassed for something that somebody else did to them. Don't be embarrassed. You did nothing wrong. And so we need to give a voice to the voiceless and to empower our children to be able to say, stop, you are not allowed to touch me. And if you do touch me, I know safe people that I can go that's going to help protect me.
That is so powerful and so important now. Words are powerful, words to hurt or words to heal. And you are talking about words that can heal. We need this healing now more than ever.
Now.
And so this virtual event is happening April 10th at 9 a.m. People can find out the Zoom link. Is it through Zoom?
It's going to be a Zoom link. They have to pre-register. Pre-registration is open now. And it's $10 to pre-register. The $10 will help Boza stay in fruition to be able to continue doing what we're doing, breaking the silence against sexual abuse. And you can also order T-shirts on the site. You can go to bozawarriors.org. That's ROSAWARRIORS.org, or you can go right to my page, tonabuck.com. Everything will link right up to the lead page for the walk. I think it's easy because it's so many letters and stuff to go straight there. So you can go to either or, and it'll take you right to the lead page where you can register for the walk, and you can also order T-shirts if you want a T-shirt. And if you don't want to walk, you can still donate. You can still do a donation, and because we need donations, because we want to work together with many organizations around the world to break the silence against sexual abuse. And that's our number one goal. We must talk about this. It's not going to stop. It is not going to stop if we think it's just going to go away. Predators are going to do what they do. They're going to prey. We need to do what we need to do and use our voice and roar and shut this mess down. I look at my organization as lions, and when a lion roar, he stops the whole jungle from moving. And so when one lion roar, he can stop a lot. Do you imagine how many, if a whole lot of lions get together and roar? And that's what Moses wants to do. We want lions to roar all over the globe together. And as we roar, we are making a statement saying enough, no more, and we are going to shut this mess down.
Que lo que la señora Tona Buck dice es tan importante esta conferencia, esta marcha del 10 de abril. La invitación es el 10 de abril, que pueden unirnos, nos podemos unir con una voz alta, una voz fuerte, una voz como león, y decir, ya, basta, ya no más abuso sexual y el silencio que apoya el abuso sexual. Ya no más el silencio, hay que levantar la voz. La caminata virtual va a ser el 10 de abril a las 9 de la mañana, tiempo de Connecticut, Nueva York, New Jersey, y es una invitación a nivel internacional. Y si quieren buscar más información, pueden entrar a la página de Facebook de Tona Buck, la autora. Su nombre es Tona, Tona, Buck, Buck. Y también pueden encontrar más información en su dirección de la organización de guerreras contra el abuso sexual, que se llama Rosa Guerreras, rosawarriors.com. Y de ahí pueden encontrar más información. Ella dice de que su camino en la vida le trajo a este momento como guerrera. Empezó como una víctima de los 3 años de edad, y cuando era adulta quería apoyar contra el abuso sexual, pero de repente un accidente de carro, un carro la atropelló cuando ella estuvo caminando, la dejó en la calle, pensaba de que no sabía si iba a sobrevivir. Tenía daño, quebraron un hueso en su pierna, tenía problemas, estuvo inconsciente un par de días, estaba bien mal, pero desde su casa, en su cama, hace 6 años atrás, tuvo la visión de crear un documental y empezó a entrevistar a 10 víctimas más de abuso sexual, y ella fue la primera persona de confianza en donde ellos contaron lo que les pasó cuando eran niños. La primera persona que pudo escuchar sobre este abuso que ellos mantuvieron en silencio por casi todas sus vidas. Y la señora Tona dice, de ahí yo supe que yo no era la única. De ahí yo supe de lo difícil es en mantener el silencio, porque uno mismo se pone a pensar que uno causó ese daño que un adulto le hizo con ese abuso. Y de ahí ella dijo, es importante que sabemos las víctimas que no era ninguna causa de nuestra parte ese abuso. Ese abuso fue cosa que el adulto traspasó los límites adecuados. Ya no era de sanación, pero era de trauma. Y es importante levantar la voz para empezar la sanación, pero más importante prevenir que los predadores que existen hoy en día a que no salgan con la suya. Que los adultos ahora vamos a estar armados para proteger la inocencia de los niños en nuestras vidas. La hora es el momento para apoyarnos, empezar a hablar con su familia, con sus vecinos, con la comunidad sobre este tema. El mes de abril es el mes contra el abuso sexual y la marcha empieza el 10 de abril a las 9 y nos da tiempo a compartir con todos esta importante invitación. Y es también para poder empezar esa conversación con nuestras familias, con nuestros hijos. Y si quieren también comprar el libro, Stop. De allí pueden entrar a la página de Tonya Buck. So if we want to purchase the book Stop, how can we do so?
On Amazon.com, both books, that second, My Journey of Being Sexual Abuse and Stop, are both on Amazon.com. Or they can go to my page if they want it autographed at tonabuck.com.
En la página de Tona Buck, TONABUCK.com, pueden pedir el libro para apoyar en cómo tener esa conversación con sus jóvenes en sus vidas. And so we have 2 more minutes left. What are the parting words that you would like to share?
We are stronger together. Bottom line, we are stronger together. Again, this is not a Black, a Hispanic, a country, a state. This is not an age. Sexual abuse is going on all over the world. I need people to understand 96 of the children who are human trafficked were sexual abuse, and they ran away from home to try to get safety. So this is bigger than we are seeing. And together, working together, doing this walk and letting people know that we're unified and saying enough is what we need to do. And I'm hoping that you can support Rosa. I'm hoping that you come out and you register to walk, and that you join us on April the 10th for this worldwide virtual Sexual Abuse Awareness Month walk.
Que una gran invitación para todos a que participen. Para el 10 de abril va a costar un poco, $10 la entrada para registrarse, y esos fondos van a ser colectados para apoyar esfuerzos durante el año. Varias organizaciones que luchan todos los días contra el abuso sexual. Es un asunto tan fuerte y tan grande. La mayoría de los jóvenes que se van huyendo de sus hogares en una temprana edad, exponiéndose a más peligros, la mayoría han sido abusados, y 96% de las mujeres encarceladas han sido abusadas también. And there's also a statistic that over 96% of the women in prison were sexually abused.
Yes, it is.
La mayoría de los hombres también encarcelados han sido abusados sexualmente, and the majority of men as well, who are incarcerated were also sexually abused.
It's
And
big.
not getting the resources in incarceration to support them through that trauma that they've carried this long. And so the time is to let that go in community, with family, roaring like lions to say
Yes.
no more. So we are not victims of the stories that happen to us in our lives. We are the co-creators of our own stories, and this is an invitation by Tona Buck to change our narratives, to change our story and say we are in support of the innocence of children, in support of the innocence within all of us as adults.
Yes.
And it is time to heal. So all of you got that invite, April
Yes.
10th. Let's show up. Todos recibieron la invitación para el 10 de abril para la inocencia de nuestros niños, la inocencia dentro de cada uno de los adultos. Es tiempo en parar el abuso sexual. No somos definidos por el trauma, somos definidos por lo que decidimos hacer en nuestras vidas. So thank you.
Thank
so
you
much.
for having me. I appreciate you.
Oh, what a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Then allow me to have this platform to break the silence against sexual abuse. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Oh, and a big thank you to Graciela Obregada.
Oh, yes.
Graciela,
Thank you, Gracie.
por introducirnos a Tona Buck. No wonder you
I
are
love her.
very special
Thank
to so many communities with what you are doing. And so grateful for uplifting the voice where children may not find their voice right now, but your book and adults reading that book, learning how to have the conversation, can support children in finding their voice as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.